And here we go to wrap up Chapter 3. This is Chapter 3, Section 7. We're kind of putting it all together now. Everything we've learned can be mixed into one problem. The order of operations have to be respected in all this stuff we've done in all these videos. We've been doing bit by bit by bit. But now we're going to look at what happens if you have several operations combined at once. We have to go back to those rules of PEMDAS. Remember those rules? Please excuse, and then remember how we learned multiplication and division have equal value. Addition and subtraction have equal value left to right. We're going to apply all the rules we've done here in the next couple of problems, and then we'll be done with Chapter 3 for the lesson part, that is. So, as I go through this problem right here, the first thing we have to identify is what we should do first, and you should notice that it's divide. It's right there. Because division is to the left of the multiplication. That's to the left of this multiplication. So I have to do that first. Now, one thing I encourage you to do is, you'll notice how I'm going to work down the page on this problem. You need to be learning to do math that way as well. This 1/6, he's got to wait because he's getting added right there. Okay, so he's at the bottom of the chain. So he's going to have to wait till the very end. So I'm just going to copy that down. I don't want to forget about him, but I'm going to deal with him later. Okay? Well, before I can divide, remember what I have to do? Keep, change, change for division. So I'd like to go ahead and change that to 2/1. Now this all is just going to come down and wait its turn as well. Now, since I've got all this multiplication here, you essentially are going to multiply those three numbers, and that order doesn't matter, but let's just stick with left to right. I'll do this one first. 2/3 times 2/1. Let's just do that one, and then we'll bring the rest down. So again, the 1/6 has to wait. Plus, now I don't have a common factor or anything, so I'm just going to multiply 2 times 2 and 3 times 1, and that'll give me 4/3 times, now don't forget about the 5/8. Alright, so again, we look at the order and we multiply before we add. We're still right here now. We're still on this line in the order of operations. So I do notice though that I have this 4 and this 8. Now that's going to make my life easier, because I can divide that by 4, and I can divide that by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So we're going to go 1 times 5, get a new numerator of 5. Then we're going to do this 3 times this 2, get 6. Again, don't forget about 1/6 up there. Now this problem actually worked out nice for us, because see what I gave you? A nice common denominator. There you go. You're welcome. All right, you don't have to go through all that. Excuse me. All you have to do is add 1 plus 5 to get 6. And remember, the denominator just stays that value. 6/6 is equal to 1. And that's the answer. There. Okay, step by step. Okay, follow that order of operations there. Let's look at another one that it didn't work out quite as nice as this one we just did, but let's just go ahead and work through it again. Always remember the order. PEMDAS, that's how we start these problems when we have multiple operations involved here. All right, well, we multiply before we subtract there. So I'm going to bring down the 11 and 1/2. Now I'm gonna work a little bit ahead. Since I have a mixed number, I know that when I subtract this eventually, I'd rather have the mixed value. So I'm going to go ahead and change this. Remember the check mark? So I'm just changing this to 23/2. I haven't done anything with the order yet. I just changed its value. 11 times 2 plus 1 is 23. What I am going to do is I am going to go ahead and multiply right here. This is the actual math that I'm doing in this line. And I'm going to do 2/3 times 24. So remember that 24 is over 1. Do you see the common factor of 3? I'm sorry. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 24 divided by 3 equals 8. So now I'm going to do 8 times 2, or this 2 times 8. For my new top number, that would give me 16. And my bottom number is 1 times 1, 16 over 1. So we have 16 over 1. There's my minus sign. Minus, sorry about that. Getting a little sloppy. 16 over 1 minus 23 thirds. I wrote thirds. I'm sorry. That's 2. You're probably sitting there wondering how I got that. Remember, that should just be 2. Sorry about that. And then, now here's the problem. Now I am subtracting, but I don't have a common denominator. So you have to create one. Well, 1 and 2, the least common multiple of 1 and 2 is 2. So that's really a pretty easy one. We're just going to take 16 for 1 times 2 over 2 and end up with 32 halves. So he becomes 32 halves, and that becomes 23 halves. That stays 23 halves. So now we just subtract 32 minus 23 is 9. The 2 stays 2. So 9 halves, or 4 1/2 are solutions for us. So that takes care of our second slide. And then let's wrap up the very last slide of chapter 3. You're really close. This is a tricky one, so of course we have to go out in a blaze of glory here. You're being asked to find the average of these 3 numbers. Okay, we have 3 numbers. That's the first number, that's the second number, and that's the third number. So remember, the definition of average means you add all the numbers. Okay, you add those numbers up, and then you divide them by the number of data that you have. That's supposed to be a number sign. The number of numbers, in this case, would be 3. So essentially, to do this question, we have to take 1/2 plus 1/3 plus 5/8 and divide all that by 3. Now notice I put in parentheses. That's because you have to add them up first before you divide them. If you don't put those parentheses in there, remember, division would come first. So this essentially is what we're doing here. So the reason this problem's a little ugly is because we've got 1/2, we've got 2, we've got 3, we've got 8. We have to add them all up. So the least common multiple of 2, 3, and 8, go back to review your fraction rules, it's 24. It's the first number they all 3 go into. So we've got to convert all these to 24s. 1/3 and 5/8. This might be a nice place to hit pause and see if you can do that, and then come back and see if you agree with me, because it's a place of struggle. But I will just keep working. 2 times something is 24, it's 12. 3 times something is 24 is 8. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times something is 24, that's 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. So essentially our problem has just become this. 12 24ths plus 8 24ths plus 15 24ths. All of that is being divided by 3. Okay, so now I have to add these up. Again, you have to finish the parentheses, what's inside. You add all those numbers up, and I believe we get 35. Remember, the denominator stays 24. That is all divided by 3. Right? Now, keep, change, change. 35 for 24 times the reciprocal of 3 is 1/3. Now check, does 3 go into 20 to 35? You might recall those divisibility rules. 5 plus 3 is 8. 3 doesn't go into 8. Darn it, it won't go in there. So all we can do is multiply straight across. 35 times 1, 35. 24 times 3, 72. That will not reduce. That is your solution. And congratulations, you've made it through your fraction instruction, chapters 2 and 3. A doozy of a couple of chapters, but really important for math things in your future. So bring your questions to class, and hopefully we will knock out this test coming up soon.